Welcome back. Last Minute episode 172, and we are camless this week.
Camless.
Which means there's nobody here to dispute any Flyers.
So what we say about suspension is fact.
Exactly. There's nobody else that's trying to troll or be rude or trying to dispute fact.
I will speak for Cam, though, because he's been talking about it all day at work.
Okay.
For the last week.
I know.
Well, what is there to say other than Radko Gudas did a thing that we all make fun of Radko Gudas for, and he got suspended for doing that thing, which we'll talk about. Lots to talk about today, obviously. Happy Thanksgiving to the Americans, as it is their American Thanksgiving. We celebrated it in October, the better time to celebrate Thanksgiving, but that's fine. I enjoy American Thanksgiving. There's lots of football and hockey. I don't.
Because Trump needed us to get our own Thanksgiving.
No, I don't.
It's always separate, though.
Yeah, it's always been separate.
Did you not hear that, though?
It's a joke.
I can see it.
I could see them pretty much saying anything at this point. So, obviously, American Thanksgiving. One of the big things with NHL hockey is standings at American Thanksgiving normally dictate what the standings are going to be towards the end of the year, or at least which teams are going to make playoffs.
Isn't it like 76% of the teams that are
Exactly.
in the playoffs make the playoffs?
So we're
78.4.
going to focus most of today's podcast on where the playoff picture is now for most teams and which teams we're surprised aren't in the playoff picture right now at American Thanksgiving. But first, obviously, we have to talk about the Winnipeg Jets. And they've played 5 times since the last time we got together and talked and yelled about hockey. So they played the Arizona Coyotes at home. They played the Philadelphia Flyers at home. They played Saturday against a team, New Jersey at home. Then played against Nashville and LA. So 5 games.
Correct.
The other two were not at home.
The other 2 were not at home. Okay, so let's start first with Arizona Coyote game. It was, I guess, Jets Hall of Fame induction night for Dale Hawerchuk. Yeah. So they put his name up in the rafters with Nielsen, with the hotline, Nielsen, Hall, and Hedberg. Really not too much excitement from this game. Like, Jets pretty much dominated Arizona. There's not much to say.
It was a fine game, really. I mean, it wasn't boring.
The first period was tight.
You guys watch more than I do, so.
I don't remember. It's so long ago.
Yeah.
I was at the game, and I didn't think it was a boring game.
Well, that's good.
So.
But it's Arizona.
The Coyotes. Yeah. You know what? They're going to be pretty good in a couple of years because they're quick. And I've noticed that's one thing I noticed. The Jets have a hard time with teams that are fast.
I was saying that the other day, too, to someone. It's every team that's fast, the Jets seem to have a problem.
And the game was really close in the first period, and the Jets obviously blew it open in the second period. But, I think Arizona, they're a few years away, but they've got some...
They've got good pieces. That Clayton Keller is
he's good.
Gross. He's real good.
And the funny thing is he kind of just, he's been, he was quiet. Like, you didn't hear about him last year, right? Because he wasn't in league, but
Did they draft him?
Yeah, he was drafted.
Yeah.
But I think he was picked 7th overall. So...
Size was a thing with him.
Okay. But regardless, for a guy that was picked 7th overall that didn't have the hype surrounding him, that's a win.
Oh,
when you have to look at that, that's a win from a scouting standpoint. And you look at the way this team's, to me, they're going to be what Carolina is this year in, 2 years. They just need more young defensemen. Carolina, bar none, has the most mobile defensive unit. I could see Arizona with some better pickups, some better moves, could move there as well. Their forward core is going to be good eventually.
Clayton Keller is comparable, because, they always do the comparable at the draft. It's comparable with Patrick Kane, so it just tells you how good his hands are and his vision is for the game. So if he can just develop some more speed, I guess, to his game, I think it is. I don't even know what's
I think it's just
getting better and bigger.
Yeah,
the last time the Coyotes had a star? Have they ever had a star? Would you consider Shane Doan a star?
No.
He was very good, but he wasn't.
Okay.
Radim Verbata.
Anybody? Okay. I guess we had this debate last week with Hall of Fame. Do you put Shane Doan in the Hall of Fame?
NHL Hall of Fame?
Hockey Hall of Fame. We're talking Hockey Hall of Fame.
I think so, just for the longevity of his career.
But
all with one franchise.
That doesn't mean anything. He never won a cup.
Yeah,
he never went to a cup. He was a captain of a franchise that never really
numbers?
did anything.
His numbers are pretty good.
They're nothing special.
Not special, but they're still good. He was a very good player.
Are we rewarding Hall?
So solely based on the fact that he had such a long career, he played for one. Okay,
I think it should be the Shane Doan
He played
line.
for 2 teams, but he played for one franchise, right? I mean, he's forever known as the last Winnipeg Jet from the original era to go, and there's just so much circumstance around his time that I think that'll get him in. You know, like, even though he never won a cup, he never, you know, even though his stats are okay and he never won a cup, but like I said, there's so many circumstances around his career, and the fact that he played for 20 years, he was an Olympian.
That's another thing you have to remember. He was Olympian.
He might be an Olympian again this year.
Yeah.
He might win a gold medal.
Didn't hit 1,000 career points in over 1,500 career games. I'm not saying that's a slight. I'm just saying that's, for me, for a guy that I guess his biggest win was a King Clancy and a Marc Messier Leadership Award. Like, you got to look at prestige when it comes to Hockey Hall of Fame. I don't want to get into this debate too big, but I have a tough time putting him there. Yeah. So when it comes to have the Arizona Coyotes had a star, not one that comes to mind, considering the fact the only person we can really think of is Shane Doan.
Well, now you kind of have Ekman Larsson. He's kind of up there.
He's one of the best right-handed defensemen, and they're talking about moving him. So, yeah, right-handed.
Left-handed.
He's right-handed.
Left-handed.
He's right-handed.
We're gonna debate this.
Here we go.
I can almost swear.
He's going to be a good piece, though, for the Coyotes going forward.
I have the power of internet.
So do I.
Yeah. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I read a bunch of stuff that. Oh no, he is left-handed. Why the heck are all the Leafs people are like, well, Ekman Larsson's a great right-handed defenseman. I'm like, fine, I agree with you. I thought he was left-handed, but
I only know this because of Chell.
yeah, that's fair.
I know.
That's fair.
Because I always took Ekman Larsson on my team on Hut.
He's so good.
Well, in Hut, he's so cheap.
Great.
Yeah.
No one cares about Arizona, so he's always cheap. It's great.
Yeah. No, he's so good
I've had him
though.
on the fantasy team for like 6 years.
No, but like.
It's great.
That's the thing. I thought he was, yeah. I should just defer. Whenever you say something, you're just more often right than I am.
Another fun fact about this game, though, because the Jets won, the Coyotes were the first team in NHL history to not have a regulation win in their first 20 games.
Oh, but it's fine, because game number 21, the Arizona Coyotes won in regulation.
Against Montreal?
Against Toronto.
No, they
Okay.
lost.
No, they beat Montreal and Ottawa first.
No, because they played... Oh, yeah, I guess that's last Tuesday. I'm talking this week. Wow. Okay, never mind then.
Yeah, but they're the first team. 20 games, no wins. They had 2 wins, they were both in overtime.
Now they have 5 wins this year. Regardless, let's move on to Thursday's game against the Philadelphia Flyers, which had some drama in it.
Some drama.
Matthew Perreault returns to the lineup, and Radko Gudas decides to behead him with his stick. Or at least attempted to behead him.
Tried.
Didn't quite accomplish that.
But he knocked his helmet off first, so it's fair game after that, right?
Yeah, because he knocked
that's how it should be.
Gudas's helmet off. You're allowed to use your stick as a weapon.
I had this argument with Cam so many times.
We all have. All three of us have.
Okay, I'm talking about the play, and he's like, Pro cross-checked him in the back like 3 times and punched him. I'm like, no, he didn't. He pushed him, got his hands up, knocked his helmet off. Can you give him a penalty for that? Sure, I guess.
They did.
They did, which I don't even totally agree with, but whatever. But, really? So that justifies a 2-hand chop to the back of somebody's head? A play that...
He was just trying to gain his balance.
And, like, I don't think this sunk in when I said it to Cam, but you can kill somebody doing that. And I'm not just saying that.
Well,
you literally can
can
kill somebody giving them a 2-handed chop to the back of the neck.
You're talking to Cam, who cross-checked someone in the back of the neck and tried to kill them. So...
That's true.
It's
say that.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's very clear. Intent was there, and I can understand if and Cam, who's not here, and I don't want to attack the guy too hard. He tried to compare it to a hit, to a Bufflin hit, where Bufflin targeted the head. Yes, he's using an extension of his body to target someone's head. Automatically should be a call. There was no penalty on the play. Understandable. It is completely different when you're using your stick as a weapon to inflict harm on someone. There is intent there to injure, which is, in minor hockey at least, a match penalty, which is 5 minutes and plus at least a minimum 3-game suspension.
My biggest issue with this is that there's a whole big controversy because initially they gave them both 2-minute penalties and put them in the penalty box, and then the referees kind of met and then they watched the video screen. And I guess after that, they came back and said, okay, 5 in a game, you're gone.
You should not be able to watch that review screen. If you're that bad as a referee that you can't see that, you're an NHL referee.
And Flyer fans were livid. They're like, you can't do that. I'm like, okay.
Why not use the technology if you have it?
I'm like, okay, fair
but
enough.
You should be able to catch that.
You should be able to
I'm sorry. There's
like,
4 of you on the ice. You can catch it.
That like, I get why they're mad because, you're not supposed to be able to do that. But how do they not call 5 in a game immediately? Like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How do you miss that? So
I mean,
I'm pretty sure there's 2 or 3 year refs that have been reffing for 2 or 3 years that can make that call.
Yeah.
It's not hard. You see the stick hit the guy in the back of the head. That's a match penalty. That's what it comes down to. Game misconduct.
Honestly,
at least they got it right.
There was a puck battle. It got heated, obviously. There's nothing malicious about what Perreault does, and what Gudas does is,
intent to injure.
I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that I don't think he meant to hit him in the back of the head. I think he probably wanted to bring his stick down and chop his stick out of his hands, but because Perreault fell down, hit him in the back of the head. Yeah. I want to say that, but you got to look at who did it. He's been suspended 3 times now. He got a 10-game suspension for this, which I figured is what he'd get. I thought they should have gotten him more.
A lot of the analysts were saying 20.
Solely for the reason that he's been suspended 3 times. He's had 6 match penalties in his career, game misconducts. He doesn't learn.
No.
You need to send him a message. And I get that Perreault wasn't hurt. He was fine. He scored a goal in the game. That doesn't matter. It's the intent of the play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was fine because the stick got him mostly in the helmet, but if that stick gets him below the helmet, big time injury. So I think they should have thrown the book at him, personally. Just to say, you need to, there's some kind of a disconnect with him he obviously doesn't realize that you can't keep doing what you're doing. And even after the suspension, he comes out and says he doesn't agree with it. How do you not agree with it?
Even if that wasn't your intent,
yeah,
you still slash a guy in the back of the head.
Yeah, it
doesn't matter.
So,
I don't know how a player can look at that and say, yeah, I don't deserve that. I don't. You know what? I slashed a guy in the back of the head, but you know what? I'm a good human being. I don't deserve this suspension. Just own up to it. Accept it. Say, you know what? I made a mistake. I made an error in judgment. I'm gonna work to be better. Yeah. That's what somebody that's, at least in my opinion, mature would do. Look, and I hate always bringing it to the Leafs, but last night in the Leafs game against Florida, Nazem Kadri got pissed off because he got a penalty and was being a little fussy about it. Gets in the penalty box, slams his stick. As he slams his stick into the boards, catches the gate guy in the face with his butt end. Ooh. And the gate guy's giving him hell, and he's like, So he was talking after the game. He's like, I've never felt so bad in my life. Like, I have to work to not do this again. That's a mature player. That's somebody who wants to take ownership of what he did, and not be like, guy was in the wrong place, wrong time. You know what? Guy's an idiot. Shouldn't have been there. Allow guy to vent. Like, own up to your mistake.
Yeah. And you know what? I know that we give Cam a hard time about Gudas, and honestly,
he's not a good defenseman. He's not a good hockey player.
I can't say he's terrible because I don't watch the Flyers play very often. I just know from watching him play over the years, he's a dirty hockey player, and you can't say anything otherwise. No, he's a dirty hockey player, and I don't know. I mean, at some point, it doesn't matter how decent you might be. The NHL has to step in and say, you can't keep doing that. Because obviously he got a 5-game suspension. That wasn't enough. Then he got a 6-game suspension for interference. So it must have been a pretty bad hit. That obviously wasn't enough. Now he's up to 10 games. So what's next? He's going to get a 20-game suspension next year?
25. I mean, the fact that this was only 10 is shocking. And I guess maybe he had good defense. Maybe he was like, well, he was down on the ground. I meant to slash him in the hands, whatever it might be. But frustrating.
And like to your point, how Cam brought up, but Dustin Bufflin did this 4 years ago. And then all the Flyer fans on Twitter are saying, Crosby chopped a guy's finger off last year, didn't get anything. How does that change what Gudas did? How do either of those plays that happened years ago, how does that change what happened?
The Crosby thing's a bit different, though. It wasn't a maniacal play. He was just giving him a quick little tap like everyone did last year, which is why they're getting that out of the NHL. Yeah. But it was just a quick tap on the hands. It just got him in the right spot, but just exploded his finger.
The biggest problem I had being on social media with the hit is all the Flyers supporters were saying, but these plays happened and they didn't get suspended, so Gudas shouldn't. Which I don't know how you make that connection. And they also because so many fans were mad that they changed the penalty after the fact, they said, Gudas should still be allowed to be in the game. Okay, so he stays in the game and then gets 10-game suspension. What's the difference?
Yeah,
he should have been kicked out immediately.
And really, it's probably better that he got kicked, he got taken out, because it would have escalated the game more. It was, as much as I want the refs to get it right the first time they see it. Okay, fine, you got it right eventually. Because if he doesn't get kicked out of that game, if he gets a 2-minute penalty, you've got a team of guys that are going to be like, nope, we're going to go and we're going to get under his skin. He's going to do something more stupid. And then you might have a guy that gets more injured. So it's lucky that nothing else negative happened or came from that.
Well, even with him going out, you saw Bufflin. He was mad that day. Like, he was going after people.
Yeah, he was a totally different player after that.
Yeah,
in that game.
And ever since then, he's been hitting, and it's been great.
Well, I mean, hey, I like Dustin Bufflin. I think he should play with that all the time, within reason, But
yeah, agreed.
But for the game itself, honestly, the Jets were lucky to get it to overtime, let alone win, in my opinion, because they just looked like flat. The Flyers were skating around. The Flyers were skating laps around them for the first period. But they kept it close. They got one in the second. They got one late in the third, and they won.
Well, and Paul made a good coaching adjustment there, switching Scheifele playing against that Couturier line, because that was not working at all. Yeah. Puts Lowry up against that line, and all of a sudden they started building towards winning. So
I mean,
his shot attempts were very
the sign of a good team is
it's like -16 or something. Yeah,
bad.
For and against was bad. So.
The sign of a good team is you win a game that you probably shouldn't win sometimes, and that's what happened.
Okay, I don't want to spend too much more time on this, as there's a lot to talk about, especially considering the fact that I want to dwell on some other teams. But they played New Jersey. What happened in that game? They won?
It was 0-0 until 5 minutes into the second, and then it was 5-1 Winnipeg really fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they kind of just exploded,
Nashville,
I have to say, this though, Jersey, they're good.
Oh, yeah.
I know the game was lopsided, but they're good.
They're second in the Metro right now.
They're good.
Nashville.
I didn't watch much of the game.
Okay.
Looked real slow.
Okay. And then LA.
I think Nashville was kind of their dud game.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, it was definitely their dud game. They played terrible.
LA.
Game last night. Yeah, it was good. It
was
was
defensive game.
Yeah, it was close. It was very tight.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? LA looks a lot better than I thought they did. They were going to this year too.
Well, you got to remember, that's them without Carter too.
That's the scary part. No Carter.
And they're doing what they're doing.
Does Anze Kopitar have more than 8 goals this year?
Damn close.
He looked good last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a totally different player than he was. And same with Brown. Even Brown looks way better than he has for the last 3 years.
The nice thing about last night is that Steve Mason had a really good game and he got the win.
Nice to see that.
Yeah.
38 out of 39.
Yeah.
Saves.
So, that's nice when you can depend on your backup.
I mean, I thought the Jets would be better this year. I did not think they'd be this good this fast. I know it's only the quarter mark, but they're third in the NHL right now.
Quick question. Do they go to Steve Mason against Anaheim, or do they use him for San Jose?
You know, it doesn't matter which way you split those games up because you're playing back-to-back. Just whoever you think will play better against each team, essentially. Or which team's going to give you more of it.
Okay.
Trouble. Like, if you think Mason's going to have a better game, you give him San Jose because Anaheim doesn't look that good right now. Like,
I feel like historically the Jets have struggled with the Ducks just because it's always a physical game and always.
You know what? Actually,
you kind of go back to that playoff series a little bit every time they play. Like something always comes up, and I think maybe you put Hellebuck in just to.
If I'm not wrong, I believe they won the season series with them last year.
Did they?
I think so.
Yeah.
And then my last question. So, they have a great homestand. They go win 3 straight games on that homestand, and then they go and they have this 4-game road trip where they go Nashville, then through Death Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Death Valley's not as scary.
No, it's not as scary as it used to be. But what would you say going into it? 4 games. What do you think was an acceptable output point wise?
Well, I think if they split, then that's great.
So 4 points.
But at the same time, the way they played this year, you expect them to win all 4 games. I think obviously they can't now.
I said 6 points going in.
Okay.
But to be happy, 6 points is what I was expecting.
I think they should take. They took the LA game. I think they should take both games this weekend.
They're a better team than both San Jose and Anaheim, so they should win both games.
I think realistically for me, it was if they could get 5 of a possible 8, I think that keeps ground, keeps kind of the lead they've built up, and really none of these games really should affect you in the long run because I don't see the Jets being a wild card team, so I don't really see this affecting them. The only thing it's going to affect them, they're probably not going to win the division. I think we can say that they might, but statistically, I think they're going to have a stretch where they're going to be a little bit bad, and it's good.
St. Louis is going to play the way they're playing all year, though?
But I'm just saying
because the Jets are only 2 points back, and they played 4 points back, and they played one less game.
The team is you look at it's Nashville's the team
that
I think is going to win this division, and I
especially
was wrong,
with the Kyle Turris trade.
I was really wrong because I said they weren't going to be good this year, but I think that Kyle Turris trade has changed everything.
And then wait until they get Ryan Ellis back.
That's the thing. They don't even have Ellis yet.
That was a game changer. That Turris trade as a whole.
And that's
because they did
Dave
start
Poyle
slow, but they've picked it up now.
Dave Poyle making the right moves to make his team better and not giving up a lot. Because at the start of that deal, apparently Matthias Ekholm was part of that deal at one point. Leaving Nashville.
I thought that was just a rumor.
That's a rumor, but we don't know how much truth there is to that. So, if the NHL season ends today, as it is the quarter mark of the season, the Winnipeg Jets are currently playing against the Nashville Predators in a playoff series.
Yeah.
Who do you have in that series and why?
It's tough.
The Jets in 4 because I'm a Jets fan. No.
I
don't know.
So Jets fan in you says 4 games.
I would give the Jets the edge in this series because they'd have the home ice.
Okay.
And I really think the way they're playing, I still think some games they give up a little too much in terms of chances and shots. Like I think they're relying on their goalies a little too much sometimes.
But the shots they're giving up are from the outside. So let them take those shots. Let them have lots of shots.
Yeah. And one thing I've noticed about the Jets that they really do well this year that they've never done before is in the D zone on the penalty kill, they just collapse in front of the net and no pucks get through. And I've never seen the Jets do that. It's the old way the Rangers used to play. Everybody in front of the net. And yeah, like you said, they're letting Hellebuck get the shots from the corner. And they feel confident that he can save them, and right now he has. So
there's been no stinkers like he had last year, where he just wouldn't see it. He's seeing all the pucks, and it's good.
And the nice thing is, when they have a bad game or he has a bad game, the next game they're right back, which is what they need to do. So, I don't know. To me, from the get go, I think the Jets, the Predators, and the Blues are going to be the top 3 teams in the Central. It's just a matter of where they fit.
Well, that's the thing. There's no other teams.
Haven't looked.
Dallas is a disappointment for what they were supposed to be, right? Like bringing in Method, bringing in Hitchcock,
bringing in Ben
Bishop and Hansel. Yeah. Hansel's been terrible,
and Radulov.
Awful. Radulov's been fine.
Well, Radulov's been fine, but that's the other player.
And they always said that if they were kind of had the same argument as the Jets, if they short up their back end and their D, they'd be fine, but. They did that, and they're not fine.
Bringing in one guy doesn't shore up your D.
Wow, yeah. Having a great, that he's the best goalie. I think he's the best goalie they've had in a while. But that's a disappointment.
Probably since Belfour?
Marty Turco.
I forgot about Turco. You're right. Yeah. Okay. Since Marty Turco.
Yeah, because I think we all picked them to win the Central.
Yeah, Dallas. Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's early, but
yeah. The other thing too. That I'd say, especially if Nashville played against Winnipeg, they have to. It'll be a 4-line series.
And with the 4 lines they have right now, that Perreault and Armia line is ridiculous for a 4th line.
Why not? Why not keep it that way?
As far as I'm concerned, that's their 3rd line. I know Hendricks is on that line, but that line has been that good.
Exactly.
To me, that should be their 3rd line.
You don't have to number your lines anymore.
What is their other line then? Is it
Kopp, Tanev, and Lowry? Is the 3rd/4th line.
So
they're the line that you can. That's your 4th line, and you can put them up against the other team's top lines and shut them down.
That's fine.
I have to say too, Brandon Tanev. I've been nothing but impressed with him this year.
He's been.
I think he's been the best bottom 6 forward. I mean, I don't consider Matthew Perreault bottom 6 forward, so I think he's been the best bottom 6 forward of the group this year.
He is the Joel Armia of last year that I just come onto the show and just rave about how good he is.
And it's not necessarily that he's putting up points. It's he blocks shots, he hustles, he hits.
He knows his job.
He does everything away from the puck. He does everything defensively. Yeah, he knows exactly.
He knows his role, knows what he needs to do to be successful.
And it's funny because people were scoffing that they even re-signed him.
People were scoffing that they said you're on the team, and he's been one of their better players.
I think so.
I'll say, I came on here when the Jets announced that he was going to make the team and Kyle Connor wasn't, and I didn't like him at the start of the year. But you know what? every game he seems to get better. Every game he seems to show his worth. And that's all you want from a bottom six guy. You want a guy that's going to give him your all every game, every shift, and that's what Brandon Tanev does. And you know what? He's out there killing penalties. He's out there in big moments. Why wouldn't you want him there?
My question is, if the Jets stay where they are, they're obviously going to add at the deadline. Look what Chevy did the 1 year they made the playoffs. He picked up, I think, 4 guys.
What do you add?
What do you
add, and what do you take out if it's working well with what you have?
Then why add anything?
Well, I think they might not add a lot, but they might add someone to bolster for playoffs, right? Like someone
just maybe
a proven rental, like
a depth
rental.
guy.
Yeah,
even just to have in the press box, just in case someone goes down. Yeah. Would be like, because Matthias. I don't. He's good for you, but he's not going to put up any.
He's always in the right spot, and he has no hands.
Exactly. So, I don't know. Maybe that's what I would do. Just add some depth somewhere around there.
It's a good problem.
Somebody you need, somebody you need to grab from.
You know what's sad is the best thing that happened to this team this year was Matthew Perreault getting hurt.
Yeah.
Because
everyone else stepped up.
Because everyone steps up. Kyle Connor comes up, gets chemistry with Wheeler and Scheifele, and that's been a terrific line all season, ever since he's been brought up. As soon as the Steelers and Line start going.
That's the scary thing. They're doing as well as they're doing, and the Ehlers little line is probably the line that's playing, that's the least effective right now.
Well, they talked to Little about that, and he said that he's having problems adjusting because every guy he's ever played with. Yeah. You look at the Little lad and Wheeler line, they're just straight north-south guys, where Little and Ehlers are east-west guys and like to use all the ice no matter where they are. Yeah. It's hard. It's been hard for him to adjust.
Yeah. I mean, if those guys get going, they're just going to be even better. Their D hasn't really chipped in a lot of offense, which
Buffalo doesn't have a goal yet.
Buffalo doesn't have a goal.
We're in American
Trouba's got one.
We're at American Thanksgiving, and Buffalo and Burns don't have goals yet.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's crazy. A quarter point of the year.
On the plus side, Tyler Myers is on pace for 40 points. I don't think he's been that high in a long time.
On the third pairing, nonetheless.
On the third pairing. Yeah.
The other thing too that we forgot to mention, Tobias Enstrom's out currently.
High ankle sprain.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like Tucker Poolman and Ben Sherratt are going to get their opportunities to fill in that spot.
Yeah. You know what? I've liked Sherratt because he's brought the physical game, which they're kind of missing. Which I've enjoyed. I would like to see Poolman in there personally more, but
okay. So right now,
hey,
season ends today. They play Nashville. What is your consensus of that series? Like, what would you say best of 7? Who wins that?
I'd take Jets in 7. I think it'd be really close.
I take Nashville because they still have to get Ryan Ellis back, and they're playing this well without Ryan Ellis, and Ryan Ellis is Ellis.
I think I would err on the side of experience, which Nashville has, but the other thing is if the Jets get to Rinne the way that the Penguins got to Rinne, in my opinion, if it's a shootout, I would take the Jets. If it's a scoring,
for sure.
Yeah, if it's a scoring series, you're playing against a team that doesn't have James Neal. But at the same time, if it comes down to a defensive game, I would have to take Nashville in that sense. So it'll be a 7-game series. I have no doubt in my mind if these two teams played each other in the playoffs today, 7 games.
What the thing is, like, it depends who's hot at the time too. Like,
it does.
Say if Rinne gets hot or Hellebuck gets hot, or even like a guy like Laine gets hot. It doesn't matter if Rinne's hot. Laine's gonna just
that's going in.
Or if Subban's really hot and
exactly. It's.
I think that'd be fantastic to watch and see how in a 7-game series Nashville's D tries to shut down Laine.
How in a 7-game series
they're shutting down the Scheifele and Wheeler. How does
Laine play in a 7-game series?
Well,
what does he do?
He's never done it before.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So I think it's a lot. Very interesting, and it's exciting time to be a Jets fan. I'm not gonna lie.
It's nice that they're finally, I mean, they're
finally getting there.
I don't think anybody thought they'd be doing as well as they are, but it's nice to see that.
I don't think there were any analysts that picked them to make playoffs out of the
TSA picked them to be a wild card.
Did they?
Yeah.
So my question,
but I mean, no one saw them being they're 3rd in the league.
Yes. Yeah. Now, are they riding a bit of a hot streak? I think so.
Of course.
I think they will cool down, but I think they've built up enough of a lead right now that they can suffer through, a 1-3-2 stretch or
my
a
heart can't handle
1-4-1.
that. I am literally, I get so stressed out by games now.
Okay.
I know, because
that means you're a fan.
It feels like
try watching Toronto.
Oh my god!
It feels like there's so much more pressure now because when they lost Monday, I'm like, oh great, here we go. And then at the game last night, I'm like, they're gonna lose again. Here we go. And then they won. It was close.
I just get mad while watching the games. I'm like, why are you doing that? Stressful. You're better than this. You guys are like a great team. Why is this happening?
And then they started doing we're going to take a bunch of penalties at the end of the game. I'm like, oh, Christ, here we go.
So, what I wanted to move on from here, the question I wanted to ask before we move on to the rest of the NHL, are the Winnipeg Jets the best Canadian team right now?
Well, if you look at the standings, yes.
Statistically, yeah.
Standings aside, statistically aside, if you put all the Canadian teams on paper and you said, and the way they're playing right now, who is the best team?
They match up very decently offensively with the Leafs. I'd say they're neck and neck offensively. Like, tell me if I'm wrong. I don't think it's that different.
Yes and no.
Like the third line's better, but I'd take our fourth line over.
I would take the fourth line over the Leafs' fourth line.
Yeah.
But I'd take the third line over.
Yes.
So, but then you look defensively, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
And the way Hellebuck's playing, the way Anderson's playing, they're pretty much even. So I'd just take the. And that's the only other team you're looking at.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. I think Toronto was well, you know what? Okay, forgive me for this. Going into the season, in my mind, Ottawa was the best Canadian team on paper. They've struggled. I don't know. I think they're good. They've struggled. You know, Toronto. I always thought the Jets and the Leafs were very similar on paper. But like you said, I think I would take the Jets decor over the Leafs decor.
I would agree with that.
But then you go look at coaching and you side maybe Toronto, and I mean there's a million different ways.
Well, that's the thing.
There's also experience on the Toronto Maple Leafs side. Austin Matthews has 6 games
of playoff experience,
more than Patrick Laine.
I think honestly right now Winnipeg and Toronto you can probably. I think you can do like a 1A 1B.
Flip a coin. Yeah. That's who's.
I would give 1A to Winnipeg right now just because I think what they've done is more impressive. But if you put those two in a series. Could go either way.
Well, and you look at give it a week and it could totally change, right?
I think, honestly, and Matt and I were talking about this as we left my car, and walking up down, says, if there was a Winnipeg-Toronto matchup, I can only imagine how much Winnipeg fans would hate that, but love at the same time. They're like, oh my god, my team's getting coverage? This is awesome! TSN cares. At the same time, they're like, why is there so much Leaf stuff? Because they're in the Stanley Cup final.
Did you see that Austin Matthews gets a documentary already about himself?
That's fine. I don't have an issue with that. He does. I am Austin Matthews. You have to ride the guy. The guy is a hype train.
Yeah, you can ride him all you want. I'm good.
But you have to look at it as a corporation. Okay. Somebody put it out there. They're like, if somebody wants to start, there's a reason why no one has started a Canadian sports company that has not talked about Toronto media, because you can't do it and be successful. You have to be successful. Now, do you have to talk it about it as much as they do? Probably not, but they do it to appease the masses. Yep. And as we all know, criticism reigns higher than praise.
I'm sure if I created my own sports channel or whatever, and just pooped on the Leafs the whole time,
but you're still talking about it.
I'd get a lot of coverage.
You think so?
I think so. Everyone who hates SportsCenter because they talk too much about the Leafs, I'm sure they.
But you're still talking about the Leafs. The goal is to not talk about them. So now you're trying to draw eyes over there. You think that overwhelming majority of people don't want to watch SportsCenter because of that? There's more people that want to watch SportsCenter.
Well, that's because you have how many? Like you have 1 million people in Toronto.
I think it's like 3 million.
Well, and you have
I don't even know.
You know, the team's been around for almost 100 years.
Over 100 years. It's their 100th year. They were playing the Centennial Classic last season, and they're playing their centennial game this year.
Unless the Jets go on a deep playoff run or make it to the final where they're going to get American exposure, it's going to be tough for them to ever, be talked about as, even in the same regard as Toronto. Like, they could be statistically a better team than the Leafs, but...
Fair enough. Okay.
It's the way it is.
So now to move on to fun time. We're at the quarter mark of the season, the American Thanksgiving. Statistically, it states that 77%, let's say, of teams in the NHL playoffs at this point make the playoffs. So what I want you guys to each do, pull up your standings in the NHL, and I want you to pick one East team and one West team that is currently in a playoff spot that you don't believe will be there
That I don't believe will be there.
That you don't believe will be there.
Okay.
And one
I already know
be in the playoffs.
East.
And that was hard. Found that one in the Atlantic real quick. Eh?
Yeah. And then one team that is not currently in the playoffs that should be in the playoffs.
Okay, well, I'm going to speak for all of us in the East and say that the Red Wings will not be in the playoffs.
I will go with the New York Islanders.
Yeah? Okay. Did you see that Tavares assist
that,
last night?
oh my God, he undressed Sean Couturier.
And that's not an easy guy to undress either. He's a very good defenseman.
So I'll defend my New York Islanders. God. The Metro is so stacked with good teams that it is very easy to move up and down there right now. Just the Islanders, they have games in hand, but right now, if you look at it, there is 6 teams in the Metro separated by 5 points. Mm-hmm. Sorry, you could go more. 7 teams in the Metro separated by 7 points. I do not believe that when I stack them up against the other teams in that division that the New York Islanders are as good as any of the other teams. I have a better chance to see Detroit there because I look at the other teams in the Atlantic right now, and I'm not saying Detroit's a great team, but you have teams like Montreal, you got Ottawa, you got Buffalo, you got Boston. It's a pile of
I personally think the Islanders are better than the Rangers. That's just my personal take. I think the Rangers are kind of on their slide.
Yeah, they went on a bit of a hot streak there, but they're still.
Yeah,
they're still
2 in their last 10.
Honestly, right now the only 2 teams that are outside the playoff line that I could see creeping back in, Ottawa and Carolina. I don't think Boston's going to be there. I don't think Philadelphia or Montreal or Florida. Or
about Montreal? They have a minus 26 goal differential, especially after getting pooped on by the Leafs 6-0. Let me tell you, that whole thing, Toronto can't beat Montreal. That's now in bed. That's now been tucked in. Austin Matthews comes back.
In last year?
No, they didn't beat him last year. They finally beat him twice in a row this year. And Austin Matthews putting the exclamation points on the game, getting Mark Scheifele points, garbage time.
I texted
making him 5 and 6-0 goals.
But so as I say that, the Red Wings might stick in the playoffs because the only team I can see unseating them in the Atlantic is Ottawa.
Exactly.
So honestly, Detroit, if they can keep it up, they might make it.
That's why I'm saying I think realistically the New York
and the streak starts anew, boys.
So who knocks the Islanders out then?
Carolina. Carolina.
Yeah, fair enough.
Or the other thing that could happen, let's say either Washington or Pittsburgh, they could fall out of the wild card race, and all of a sudden now you have both Ottawa and Carolina getting in, and Detroit being in.
Is it weird seeing both Pittsburgh and Ottawa? They're both in the wild card.
You mean Pittsburgh, Washington?
Pittsburgh, Washington. Both in the wild card. Both just barely above 500. Both with minus goal differentials.
Minus 19.
The changing of the guard.
It's weird.
Oh, it's almost like someone said Matt Murray wasn't that good of a goaltender. I said that.
It has not been Matt Murray.
He doesn't have much of a decor in front.
I know it's not Matt Murray's fault. But
the Tang's been just awful this year.
Well, coming back from neck injuries.
When is Buffalo finally going to do something? Because every year they're just like, Jack Eichel like, I'm tired of losing, we're going to win. And they don't win. They're
like that. They're like that.
You can't win with Dan Balsma. Oh, you had a better team with Dan Balsma.
Yeah. It's like that meme with that stick figure holding the other stick and like poking at something. Do something. That's Buffalo. They don't do anything. They just sit there like, do something. They're not well structured.
They're on pace to win 20 games.
They're as bad as I think Montreal's bad. I think Buffalo's bad. I think Florida's the only team there that's worse than they are.
Yeah.
But I think Florida can be better, but
I don't think they can.
Buffalo figure it out. Toronto was able to figure it out in like 3 years. Granted, they got Nylander, Marner, and Matthews, but they were able to figure it out.
What is the problem in Buffalo? Because it can't be scoring. Because you have Ryan O'Reilly, you have Eichel, you have Kane, Kane's been good ever since he's been there. Yeah. You have Sam Reinhart, you have Kyle Okposo,
Matt Molson, all these guys.
You have guys that are talented.
They don't have Kyle Okposo.
Yeah,
they do.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about Matt Molson.
And they got their prodigal son, Jason Pominville, back too.
Yeah.
Like they
their
have offensive
is not very good.
Yeah, and Bogosian's been hurt.
Bogosian's played like 5 games since he got traded from
Bogosian being hurt? How many? I feel bad for that guy.
You know what? Myers hasn't been much better coming back the other way too.
I think
Myers is better.
Myers is a better player, but
he's been
injury-wise,
When healthy, Myers is very effective. When healthy, Bogo is just kind of there.
They honestly,
I still miss the Bogo smash where you'd like step in front of a guy and just punch him in the chest.
They never even really talking about the trade. They never got his opinion about how do you feel. They're just like, see ya.
They need Dahlin. In all honesty, if they get Dahlin, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll help their decoy.
Well, and the thing is Robin Leonard's not a good goalie either.
Yeah, that hurts.
Not a good goalie.
And there are goaltenders out there that they could try to swindle for, but
like Nikita Kucherov literally scored on him without making a single move.
Can we just talk for one quick second before I move to the West about this?
Yeah.
And talk about how great Steven Stamkos, Nikita Kucherov, and Vladimir...
Stamkos is on pace for 140 points.
Nemestikov. Yeah.
140 points.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you? And I was watching.
Kuch is on pace for 66 goals, I think.
It's not fair.
I was watching.
It's otherworldly.
They have more points already than most of the league gets in a year.
Yesterday, the Chicago game, and like they get on the power play in overtime. So the puck was on the boards. It's like to Kucherov on the right side. For some reason, both Chicago guys, like 2 of the 3, run at him like full speed. He's got nothing but time, so he just kind of flips it to the middle to Nemestikov. Nemestikov passes it up to Stamkos. So we're in a power play. So who do you think else is out there? Well, they had 4 forwards. So Stamkos comes up with like just fully torqued, ready to just let a shot go. So Crawford like jumps out at him, and he just kind of goes boop, and just passes it over to Point. Point literally standing there like, just wait a second. Okay, I'll put it in. Like it's not fair.
It's not fair.
Like Braden Point's too good for where he was drafted. It's not fair. Fuck him. Fuck Braden Point. It's bullshit.
You know what you need sometimes? You need those deep drafts.
That's unfair though. Everyone passed on him. There's no way he should have gotten out of the first round.
And I wasn't sold. I wasn't totally sold on their goaltending, and I fully admit I was 100% wrong. They're fine. They're gonna win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. Well, Steve Yzerman
who's gonna beat them at this point?
The only
one.
If St. Louis
79th overall, he got passed in 2 rounds.
Son of a bitch.
79th.
Let's put it this way.
Let's just
you need 16 wins to win the Stanley Cup. They have 16 wins. They've only lost 3 games.
Okay, so let's just go over some of these gems. Like Michael Del Col, still yet to play a game in the NHL.
The Islanders.
Connor Bleakley, still yet to play a game in the NHL. Then you have basically the entire second round, still hasn't played a game in the NHL.
That's trash.
Like, you have guys like Jace Harlock, who hasn't played, like Mason McDonald, Dominic Mason, Thatcher okay, he's
What year is this?
This is 2014, the year that he was drafted. Like, a lot of no names, and then, just Braden Point.
Yep. What else is on there? Someone else. Oh, no. That is
But is he benefiting from...
Is he benefiting from the guys playing around?
From
For
the
sure.
surrounding that he's in?
For sure. But the other thing, too, is like, you look at the guys that are drafted in front of them, like this, it's good evaluation of talent, but at the same time, just, you have to figure it out.
They have a lot
the other guy that's also was drafted late in this draft, Victor Arvidsson.
Yeah, not a bad little player.
Not a bad little player. And as we talk about a team in the West, let's go to the Western Conference. So, right now, let's all open to the Western Conference. And let's all just look for a second who's leading the Pacific.
Yeah.
And let's be honest here, who would have thought that?
Nobody.
Hey,
I'm still waiting for
we're 20 games.
I'm waiting for them to start losing.
I'm waiting for the collapse too. I'm still not sold. Still not sold.
I think their home record is 8-1.
We're in the upside down.
They're 5-5-1 on the road. I think teams will figure it out. They will, whatever voodoo is in that arena, will leave.
It's not in the arena. It's in the clubs before they go to the arena.
I mean, the Jets were there for 3.
That's what it should be called, the hangover.
The Jets were there for 4 days before they played.
I know.
What do you think they did? Come on.
You know what? They were in bed by 8 o'clock every night. They did zero gambling. They went and had zero fun.
The night before the game, probably.
Hookers and blow.
Probably not. There's none of that in that city. There's nobody standing on street corners passing out baseball cards.
But
none of that.
At this time, I can confidently say I think Vancouver is going to be the team that's not in the playoffs over Vegas.
Over Vegas.
I will take Vegas making the playoffs in a wild card over Vancouver making the playoffs.
And Vancouver keeps winning though.
Can we just take one quick look at the other team that's here? And this is what makes hockey so interesting. And just say, right now, as of today, depending on how you want to use tiebreakers, Colorado is currently tied with San Jose for the last wildcard spot, with identical records and just one differential in plus minus. But if you want to take goals for as the tiebreaker, Colorado is technically in the playoffs.
If the playoffs started today, Vancouver would play Vegas. One of them is in the second round. That's the terrifying thing. And you know what? It's probably going to be Vegas.
There's only 3 teams in the West right now that made the playoffs last year that are in the playoffs right now, eh? San Jose didn't make it last year. Oh, no, San Jose did, so there's 4.
St. Louis,
Sorry.
Nashville,
Chicago,
San
Minnesota,
Jose.
Anaheim, Dallas, Edmonton are all out.
And Calgary made it, too, didn't they?
No, Dallas didn't make it.
Calgary played against Anaheim in the first round and got swept.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Wow.
interesting.
Definitely different than last year. So, you're going to go Vancouver? As your team?
I don't think Vegas. I'm still like Matt said. I'm still waiting for the tank. Like They had their 4th string goalie and they still won. The only game I watched them play was the game against the Jets, and you know what? They deserve to win that game because they just hustled. They don't have the most talented team, but they're good enough that if they work hard,
good things happen.
Who's the guy they got from Columbus?
Carlson?
Yeah, William Carlson.
Yeah, he's
good.
He's gone pace for like 40 goals this year.
Yeah. It's not gonna say
Expansion draft person. Yeah, I'm gonna get 40 goals this
I think
year.
as soon as their home record starts to take a plummet, that's going to be the turning point. But you know what? Hey, I think they'll be in a fight for a playoff spot this year.
I can't wait till next week where we get to talk to Jim Benning about Vancouver.
Yeah, what's going on there?
I don't understand.
You know what? The only game I've watched them play is against the Jets, and they were a lot better than I thought they were going to be in that game against the Jets.
True.
They didn't look horrible. They didn't look good, but they didn't look horrible.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm just not
How many
sold on that
games
team.
did the Avs win last year? Do you know?
Not this many.
No, but they're close.
They're already at 11. They're already at 11 wins. One of the biggest reasons I'm going to say is
And they only had like 50 something points.
Nathan McKinnon.
No
I think they hit
overtime
51
losses.
last year. Nathan McKinnon has had 20 points in the last 10 games.
Wow.
Last player to do that, Joe Sakic.
How many games has Duchesne been gone for?
I'm pretty sure one of you guys owes a Treats of Pizza if McKinnon gets to like 60 points.
I'm pretty sure it's Cam.
Yeah,
It's probably going to happen.
I think it's like if he gets over 60 points,
I think
it's a Treats of Pizza.
because he must be already almost at 30.
He's playing well, and that's the thing. Like
Colorado was probably
hockey
a lot.
is total voodoo, and there's so much parity in this league. It's fantastic.
But Colorado probably wasn't as bad as they were.
No.
last
They
year.
were. There's no.
They've got
Okay,
good-
but are they as good as this record indicates?
No,
Are
they're-
they above 500 team? I don't
No,
think so.
they're
So
they won't be last. But
so consensus, I guess, between the three of us, Vancouver's the team that probably won't make the playoffs. That's there right now.
yeah,
Okay.
Well, there's no one else really.
So who's the team
that gets in.
that gets in?
That's tough because there's a lot of heavy
Anaheim.
hitters. I'll say Minnesota. As much as I want to say Edmonton, I still waiting for them to turn it around. And
Hey,
they're not.
let's look at this though.
All tied in points right now.
Anaheim is tied for a wild card right now, and they haven't had Getzlaf or Kessler all year.
But
Essentially,
Getzlaf's out for 3 months or something, isn't he?
I think it was only a month and a half.
So actually, right now, if you look at it, San Jose, Colorado, Chicago, Minnesota, Anaheim, Dallas are all tied for that wild card spot. So my team is going to be Dallas because they cannot be this bad for this long.
I mean,
They'll get in.
realistically though, I
Or
can
Jim Neal
see.
will pull the plug and trade somebody and get another return.
I mean, honestly, I can see the Wild, the Ducks, or the Stars getting in, and teams like Vancouver, San Jose, Vegas, Los Angeles.
I can't see Chicago getting in there.
No, I don't think so. I didn't think they'd make it this year, and I still don't think they will.
I'm still not sold on Chicago at all. Like
I think their magic has run out.
they need to retool. They need a year or two.
Bringing in
to,
Sharp and Sod back into
Yeah.
the mix just wasn't.
like maybe bring Sod in at the sense that they needed a cheap.
Sod's had I think 1 goal and 2 assists in his last 14 games.
And he has
And-
5 or 6 goals in the
Yeah.
first 2 or 3
And
games.
Sharp hasn't scored yet.
But Sharp's he's
old.
I know
He was getting on the
But-
tail end of his career when they won the first cup.
Taves and Kane are still great, and they might be able
Kane's
to
still
go for
great. Taves.
Okay.
Taves is struggling.
Taves is still a leader. They might have to retool, take a couple seasons, but that Seabrook contract is the worst thing they have. They need to dump him.
I think if they take a step back this year, it'll be worth it next year or the year after, as opposed to them trying to make it again this year.
Yeah, like
filling
what
plugging
Detroit
holes.
did.
Take a step back, miss the playoffs. You're fine.
Fans aren't going to leave you. You've won 3 cups.
But then
in
it
this
gives them a
decade.
bit of time maybe this year to unload some contracts, get a couple good draft picks, and then in a year or two,
Make a move or two.
you're right back. Whereas if they plug these guys back in that they've had before and they squeak in, get knocked out in the first round again, then where are you?
Find Brian
Sharp's
Campbell.
on a 1-year contract, eh?
Yeah, I think so.
There's your depth guy at the
Jets?
for the Jets at
Yeah.
the
How much is he
Deadline.
making right now?
nothing.
Yeah, he makes like $750 or something.
Okay, so then realistically, what would they want? A third rounder, fourth rounder? What do you think?
You're getting a fourth rounder for Sharp. He's been terrible. You're literally getting just for depth. He's not making your lineup unless someone gets hurt.
Yeah.
And even then, if someone gets hurt in the playoffs, I don't care if the Moose are playing in the playoffs. I'm calling up Roslovic.
Yeah.
I can see that happening anyways.
Me too. Sharp right now is on an $800,000 contract. Yeah, I'm fine with that. They also need Alex DeBrincat to start showing up a little bit more.
So, is Edmonton going to turn it around?
No.
I want to talk about that.
It's too late.
I want to talk about that.
I don't care if they beat
Because they're getting... It's not even that they're losing. Like, they're getting shellacked.
They're not a good defensive team.
St. Louis fucked them up.
Yeah.
They're not good in their own zone. They rely too heavily on one player. And I think we're seeing that Leon Draisaitl is not this $8 million... or $10 million player that people thought he was.
Well, I could put in a point a game playing with McDavid too.
Okay, Patty Maroon.
Why did they trade Eberle for Strome? Was it
Cap reasons?
Yeah.
Which looks fantastic. Fantastic.
For the
Great
Islanders.
move. Great move.
Yeah.
Eberle's actually getting some chemistry with Barzal, and they actually look real good.
So what's the first domino that falls to save their season, and when does it fall?
Who is it?
The coach, is it GM? Is
it might be McLennan because he keeps calling them out and they keep doing nothing. And I think it might just be falling on deaf ears at this point. Because how many times can you call out your team in a season, a quarter of the way through, and them still not get it? I think that's just falling on deaf ears now.
He's a good coach, though.
I think he's a great coach.
He's a good coach.
There's nothing else better out there. I think who are you going? That's what I always go back to with coaching. Who's out there that you can go get?
Michel Therrien.
Well, I think the guy you look at, but they're not having a great year now, would be Crawford in Ottawa. Would be a guy I think would get another chance.
Try to take him out of there.
To be a head coach, I'm sure he would.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those things that, you know what? They went to a Stanley Cup final with him. You just bring back Craig McTavish. Let's start this whole train over again, guys. Let's start again.
Fourth time.
I was not sold on them last year. I think I bought into the hype everyone tried to make me buy into, but I'm not surprised. I am not surprised this team isn't as good.
Their defensive depth is awful.
I'm not surprised that they aren't as good. I'm surprised they're this bad.
I'm surprised they're this bad.
They're second last in the West.
Their defense is as bad as the Leafs, but their offense is nowhere near as close to being as good. Is essentially what it is. And Talbot's
I don't think
awful.
the Leafs are bad defense.
The Leafs aren't that bad.
Well, they're not bad defensively, but like the defensemen
But in terms of on paper, yeah, I think they're.
What do you
Riley's
mean?
a good defenseman.
Martin Riley, Jake Gardner, Nikita Zaitsev, Connor Carrick, Ron Hainsey.
Sure. Is he still on your first pair?
Yes. He's on pace for like 35 points this year. It's fantastic.
And fucking like how many?
No,
minutes,
like 40 points.
How many minutes killing penalties? Like
all of them.
all of them.
It was super funny on Saturday night. It was Saturday. No, it was their game against Arizona, which they lost. He took a penalty, and they're like, "Who's gonna kill penalties for us? Who's gonna?" They're like looking down the bench, like, "We don't have anyone. We didn't dress Polak tonight."
Austin, go play defense.
He probably could.
Austin Matthews doesn't even play penalty.
He probably could.
He doesn't kill penalties?
No.
I'm surprised by that.
No. They don't have him out there for that. Because
because they're saving him for
as soon as their penalty kill's over, they do a line of Austin Matthews, William Nylander, and Patrick Marleau. Because that's not scary.
That's pretty fun.
Or if they wanted to have more fun, they could just throw Marner out there. With
Marner's on a line with
you know what I have to say?
Right now,
I have to say, the fact that the Jets are doing well, and I'm looking at them as a team, I can look at Austin Matthews now and say, yeah, you're good. You're really good.
You're a very good.
It took you a year, but I'm glad
I'm
you're
just
turning
mad
the
because the
corner.
Jets sucked last year.
Yeah, I'm glad you're turning the corner on him because he's a very
fantastic.
But I think the Edmonton issue has to boil down to poor management.
Do you think they just
getting
thought
the most
that
out of their
having
players?
Draisaitl and McDavid was going to set them, like they'd be set with that, and that was a big short sight because
big oversight.
Well, the thing is they still
have
have Hopkins.
They still have $8 million
That's
in
true.
cap room too.
Yeah,
by the way,
but
guys.
that's
I know that's going to get eaten up next year. Yeah.
maybe they should have signed Nail Yakupov because he's got like 8 goals already this year.
So annoying.
But
that's
isn't
the
it
thing,
nice
they're
to see
so
him
slow.
succeed?
It is nice to see him succeed, but they're such a slow team
Okay.
outside of McDavid.
So this is their problem. I can just by looking at their roster, I didn't really look at it until now. This is their problem. You have speed in Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and maybe
Nugent-Hopkins isn't really even that fast.
No, but I mean, like, these are your young guys.
And Drake Kajula.
He's actually not doing that bad.
Kajula's not too bad.
He's playing with McDavid
The
now,
real missing link here was the sandpaper, the grit, Matt Hendricks, who was the first star of the Jets game on Saturday.
Did you see him run out onto the ice? That was awesome.
He did the put your stick between your legs and ride it all the way across the ice.
That's awesome.
Fantastic.
But
then they interviewed him about it after. He's like, I may never be a first star again. I had to.
Yeah. So here's the other issue. Sekera, old, but he's on the IR right now. Oscar Klefbom, which is actually a decent defenseman. Adam Larson, decent defenseman. Chris Russell's terrible. Matthew Benning's not very good. Eric Greiba's not very good. And then you got Darnell Nurse, which you might not be able to keep at the end of the season because you decided to give Draisaitl $8.5 million, and you decided to give Milan Lucic 6 years till the end of time, or $6 million till the end of time.
That one looks real bad.
Connor McDavid, and then Connor McDavid $12.5 million and break the NHL.
If you asked me this time last year how I thought the Taylor Hall trade was, I'd say it was great for both teams. If you ask me right now, it's awful for Edmonton. That was a bad trade. Okay. I mean, Larson's okay, but he's not good enough for what they need, and Taylor Hall could be providing them the extra offense that they're not getting.
Well, the problem is it'd be even worse if they didn't make that trade, just because of the fact that they have no puck movers. Yeah. Chris Russell doesn't move the puck well. Eric Greiber can't move the puck. I don't even know if he uses a stick. I don't even know if he stands there with his hands on this the whole time.
He uses spongy shoes. He doesn't even skate.
Exactly. Like Nurse can somewhat move the puck, but he's still not a great part of his game.
Wasn't Nurse supposed to be like their?
He was drafted before Morrissey, and like. Yeah. Comparing those two, not even close.
So, and here's the other thing. Next year, right now, I think the earnings for the NHL are actually higher than what was expected. So, like, the cap could raise to $80 million, which would be awesome. Which would be awesome for teams like Winnipeg, the Jets, or Winnipeg, the Leafs, and even maybe the Edmonton Oilers. Because right now, going into next season, they have a total of $14 million to spend. With 13 guys signed.
Edmonton?
Roster spots are filled up.
So they have to sign 10 guys for $14 million.
10 guys for $14 million.
And one of them is Nurse, isn't it?
One of them is Nurse. But then the following year, they have $20 million. This is based off $75 million as the cap limit. They also have Talbot tied to that one as well.
Yeah, but the way he's playing this year, he's not going to cost that much.
Well, he's still going to get a raise.
Well, yeah.
They'll be like, I need more money. So
do you try and
their expiring contracts are Ryan Strome, who I could see being a rental for a team at deadline time, even though he's an RFA.
Yeah, you still keep him if he plays well.
I feel like Letestu, Maroon, Mike Camilleri. Yeah, he's still in the NHL.
Did they make a trade for him?
UC Jokinen.
Yeah, Anton Slepyshev, Drake Kajula, Lero Pekarinen.
Oh, that's the brown guy on their team.
Wow.
That's how I know him.
So should they be calling up Jesse Puljujarvi?
He is already there right now.
He's already up.
It's not racist. That's what he is. He's brown.
Can we finally just admit that when Patrick Maroon doesn't get 25 rebound goals, their team's no good?
But here's the other thing too. Top four defensemen are Andre Sekera, Oscar Klefbom, Adam Larson, Chris Russell. That is eating over $16 million, close to $18 million of their cap. For guys that none of them, other than maybe Adam Larson, is a 1-2 defenseman. Like, I'd put Adam Larson as a 1 or 2. Everyone else is a 3. Okay. So you don't have a top pairing defenseman.
If you have Oscar Klefbom.
If you want my honest opinion, I
wouldn't have him as the number one guy. He's a
why do they overvalue talent so much?
Maybe this is me being a little homer biased, but you take the Jets decor, you take the Edmonton decor, take the top 4 in Edmonton. None of those guys are making the top 4 in the Jets for D. I would argue I have a hard time putting them in the bottom pair. Who? I mean, Toby, sure.
No, we're taking Toby and Kulikov out, and you throw Myers into that top pairing with Buff.
Like, who on the Oilers knocks any of those 4 guys out?
Then there's no one.
That just shows that I don't think their D is not...
Nothing special.
And even then, Kulikov and Hitcher might take over.
And they're all signed.
I'd take Kulikov over most.
Here's the worst part. They're all signed until 2021. They have 3 more years of this after this year.
So they're going to get 3 more first overall picks?
How long do they have Chris Russell for?
They have Chris Russell until 2021.
How much
for $4 million a year.
Because he was so good in the playoffs.
Doesn't matter. He's not a good defenseman.
But that's
his passes.
That's the Brian Bickle contract. Play awesome, get a big contract,
but
it's probably.
And that's the problem. That's where analytics comes into it, and they say, you know what? Maybe you should value players on their analytics. What did every analytic person say? What did every advanced stat person say about the PK Subban for Shea Weber trade? Shea Weber is his first pass isn't good. Yeah, he's got a heavy shot, but his ability to move the puck is declining at a rapid pace.
Well, you know who else has a heavy shot? PK Subban. So
yeah, well, exactly.
null and void argument.
But
there.
exactly, that's the point. Well, he's got an attitude problem. He only cares about himself. He went to the Stanley Cup final last year. Almost won. I'm doing the Don Cherry.
How does he only care about himself if he's spending $1 million at a children's hospital every year?
Oh, that's just to keep
he
up.
He doesn't care about himself. He's just a flamboyant person.
He's a character.
He's a character, and some people don't like that.
You need that in the NHL. You need a guy like that. You need that
what
type of player.
What the Oilers need is a boardroom, like a training day from Kevin Cheveldayoff and how to sign contracts. Chevy's like, Ehlers, hey Nick, you had a great year. You're getting $6 million. And Nick's like, okay.
So who?
You're not as good as Scheifele, so you're not going to get as much money as Scheifele. That's fair.
See that
so who or what
guy? He's not important.
So who or what do you move or do to change this team?
What can you do? In the salary cap era, there's nothing to change this team. They're fucked.
Like, what? Yeah, exactly. What do they do? Who can you move on that team that gets you something in return?
Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah, they're not. They're not gonna.
How do you give up a guy like Draisaitl though? He's still a very good.
You
player.
think someone's gonna take that contract?
I still think someone. I think someone would take
Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo. Florida.
Yeah, maybe Florida, but it's one of those things where that's where you have to look at it. You have to end up looking at because in all reality, right now where they're sitting, like they have some money to spend. They have $8 million, which all goes to McDavid next season. You have to find a way to upgrade. Otherwise, this team's going to be mediocrity. I don't think they're as bad as what their record indicates, but they're also not. They might be like fringe playoff team.
They aren't the Stanley Cup favorite that everyone thought they were going to be.
They're a fringe playoff team with what they have right now.
They'll be lucky to make the playoffs.
And the problem that I see this team doing is panicking and saying, okay, we need to go out and we need to sign a free agent. And they're going to spend big money on somebody that's an upcoming free agent, which is probably a mistake. But
they don't have big money to spend.
They have about $8 million. It depends how much the cap goes up.
Do you try and move Lucic? Do you explore a buyout?
You can. He's got a no move clause. You have to.
Can they buy him out?
They already have 2 buyouts.
He's got the buyout clear. You can't buy him out.
So they're stuck with him.
Yeah, because of the signing bonus or whatever.
Yeah, he's making $6 million, right?
Quick thing I noticed here. Side note to all this. Eddie Lack placed on waivers. Mm-hmm. If you're Buffalo, would you not want to take a stab at that? Or let him pass through waivers and try to sign him?
He's fallen pretty hard.
Yeah,
he's been worse.
Okay, I was just curious.
He's been worse than Chad Johnson has, so I wouldn't look at it.
So yeah, I like. Clearly, that everything that Edmonton's done was to like gear up to win last year, and they didn't. No, they didn't win last year,
and now they're done.
Now they're done.
Like, with those 2 contracts coming in and how their team's constructed with Lucic.
And then you need to sign Nurse at the end of the year. Next year, you have to sign Talbot at the end of the year. Like, Talbot's going to be a $5.5-6 million goalie.
The only good contract on that roster is Clefbaum because they just lucked out and decided...
They signed him way early. Yeah,
and Nugent Hopkins is still not worth $6 million this
When they signed Clefbaum, everyone's like, who the hell? Who?
Why? Well, we all bashed it on this podcast.
Now, it's fantastic. Yeah. They knew.
They knew what they had with him. It was a decent move.
Okay.
Makes me sad because I thought they were going to be so good.
Doesn't make me sad at all.
Doesn't make me that sad because it's Edmonton.
This ends this week's shitting on a Canadian team because we either poop on Montreal or Edmonton on this show. Every once in a while it's Vancouver, but we expected them to be bad.
They're better than we thought they were going to be.
Much better.
So... Clearly,
the only team that really is like right on par with where we thought they were going to be is Calgary.
Toronto.
Well, I guess the Leafs too.
We honestly, after last season, how could you not see this team being in a divisional spot in the playoffs?
Well,
I hate that.
I thought they'd be in a divisional spot, but I didn't think they'd be top 5 in the league.
No, I believe you.
Like I thought they would have been around that 10 mark.
Yeah,
but hey,
good teams.
After watching them beat the Jets the first game, I thought the Jets would be in last place.
Yeah, that's true.
I
Lots
was almost done after those first 2 games.
Oh yeah,
I was almost. We were at Taps for the Calgary game, and I was sitting there, and I just left. Where are you going? Can't be here anymore. I'm too angry.
And I remember after the Toronto game, everyone's like, "Well, the next game can't be as bad." Wasn't as bad, but it's really close.
Okay, so I think it's time to end it this week. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Let us know your opinions down below in the comment section. If you're wondering where that comment section is, that is located on our YouTube channel. Last Minute Podcast is how you find us there. If you want to keep in touch with the show, you can either tweet at us at LastMinutePC on Twitter or email the show, lastminutepc@gmail.com. Cam will check those once he's back from weeping about the Radko Gudas suspension. Also, if you want to take the podcast on the go, every episode other than this one, check us out on Podomatic. Last Minute Podcast, how you find us there. I've covered all of our bases. Or, well, yeah. iTunes, you're right.
I need a good excuse to get off work early tomorrow. So Jets play at 3.
I just won't be working.
Your dog got sick.
There we go.
There you go.
My days are always short, so I'm good.
Must be nice. Just like you're short.
Ooh.
You're fat.
Hey.
What do you mean? I'm trying to lose weight.
I'm sorry.
I'm working hard, okay? I'm up 5
Don't
pounds.
go after my height.
You're working hard.
Don't go after my stomach size, you asshole.
I identify as a 6'2" person, okay?
I identify as a 160-pound man who's 6'4", has a chiseled abs. That's what I should write.
Chiseled ab? One?
What?
One chiseled ab.
And the podcast is getting
eight chiseled abs.
End the podcast.
I have 6 of them.